Yeah.
And we're live.
Yes.
Heck yes. Oh my goodness.
And if people are out there listening along, they're enjoying some rainbow.
And if you can't find the link to listen along, it's in the chat and also all over the internet now. Thank you, Effie. But welcome. Thank you for joining us for our launch party, listen along, art jam, good time, album cover reveal, shenanigan for Wolfspell.
So it's 9:30 right now. Oh my god, I could just barely see that moon from where I'm sitting. In about an hour, that moon's going to be consumed by the winter wolf. And when that happens, we're gonna go live. And by that I mean I'm gonna start clicking buttons and we'll see what happens.
Thanks so much
to go live.
For all the kind words and horns and smiles in the chat already. It's very exciting to be part of this Kickstarter.
Folks who are watching this, I just want to point out what you're looking at right now on the screen is one of the 3 panels that's going to make up the front of this album. And is that the whole? That's.
I'll scroll out once. So here's the square. This will actually be tucked inside.
Yeah.
So this is what you'll see when you open the album cover itself. And I
think
filling out the details.
Yeah. I think we'll just, let the suspense sit for what's coming next.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I'm very excited about here is that we have the option of doing some foil on this.
Yes. So we'll make some foil assessments perhaps once we make the big reveal of the rest of the album cover.
Yeah. I think I told you this story, but Friday night, I think it was Friday. Oh my God, it's been such a long weekend. Friday night, we went to play games at some work colleagues of M's. We went to their house out in a mountain in the middle of the night. But the whole point to this was that these people, they play board games and card games and whatnot, but they're not terribly familiar with role-playing games. And they asked me, so what's going on, in your life? And literally the only thing going on in my life right now is this Wolfspell Kickstarter. And I had to explain, we explain role-playing games. They got it. They understood what role-playing games were, and then what a Kickstarter was and how that worked, and they had some inclination there. And then describing what this is going to be. And around dinner time, that's when you sent me the most recent bit of art, and it showed up on my phone right when I was trying to explain some stuff, and I was like, here you go. And they were passing, they're like, oh my God. So I think you could feel the estimation raise up a little bit, because when somebody's explaining something that they do to you and you don't quite have a grasp of what it is, but then you can just say, here's the thing, you understand art, wolves are cool, look at these pictures. That was very helpful.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. Wolves are cool. So what you're seeing on this page is mostly some suggestions of where your human characters might start. They will not stay human for very long in this game. So these are not as important, and that's why this is all tucked in to the inside of the sleeve. But if you wanted an idea of some different places to launch your game or places to set your game, I hope this serves as an inspirational menu of people who hang out in places where winter is a big deal and might encounter magics that turn them into wolves. the nice thing about wolves is that they're on 6 of the 7 continents of the world, so this game should be pretty flexible for whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
Wolf-wise. But we're definitely not trying to be prescriptive, just giving you a nice suggestion.
Yeah. I got to play some Wolfspell this morning, which was exciting.
Yeah, you should tell us how that actually went down. I saw some tweets about wolves that didn't quite make it out in the end.
Yeah, so it was over on Actual Play. So if you go to the Actual Play Twitch channel, you can. I think it's in there. I'm going to say back catalog. I don't know what Twitch calls their saved videos after they've been live, but it's on their channel. You'll find it there. And I played with Strash and Emily and Misha and Karen, and we got to play one of the new Wolfspells that's coming out in this Kickstarter. So for those who've not played or read Wolfspell before, when you play the game, you make up adventurers that are ostensibly human adventurers, or I mean, you could make them like a bunch of dwarves that turn into wolves. Actually, I would quite like that. I think that that would be fun. Or, whatever. But like, civilized or human-esque characters who undergo this transformation for a particular purpose. And one of the things you do when you set up the game is you choose what that spell is. Like, why are you turning into wolves? And there's a list of them that come in the original version of the game, which came out in issue 2 of Worlds Without Master. And I've doubled that list for this. And I'm just now bringing up the one that we did today. This is the spell that we did today. Each of you swallow a small fetish carved of wolf bone to shed your human flesh and cross the veil to seek there a fey-stolen child. So
that's really good.
Awesome.
That sounds really good.
And one of the new things that happened in this particular game is Strash, who I think owns the land speed record for games that Epi's published to like the moment of publishing to the moment it got played. And it's because of Wolfspell. When this game first came out in we got some Sabbath going on in the background there if people are listening to the playlist. I have trouble talking when Sabbath comes on in my ears, but I'm gonna try and keep going.
I believe in you.
When issue 2 of Worlds Without Master was published, it's a PDF, so it went out to the patrons of the Patreon, and Strash was one of those, and happened to be hanging out with some gamer friends, and like looked at his phone and was like, "Oh, there's a game here from Epi about wolves. We're playing this." So that is the quickest I've ever gotten a game to the table after publishing it.
That's amazing. Good work.
Yeah.
Absolutely good work. I'm just poking at my tools. I'm sorry, that's not good radio.
No, that's all good.
So thanks to Normal Asylum for the link to the Twitch archive video. So if you're interested in that, you can take a look. I'm definitely going to be throwing that on while I'm working on this album cover. We're doing some tree drawing right now. I hope everyone likes trees. Y'all fans of trees?
Yeah. Trees are good.
Yeah.
I have to reopen the chat here. I've lost the ability to.
I had a really nice textured pencil somewhere, and I've lost it. And I'm sorry, you'll have to watch me mourn it.
There we go. Yes.
Enjoy.
So this is Tony Martin singing. I'm going to talk a little bit about Black Sabbath. This is an album that was this is off the Tyr album, TYR, by Black Sabbath. This is Tony Martin's not a name that people are like, oh, Sabbath, that's Ozzy or Dio. But Tony is, as you can hear, a really good singer in his own right. And this was the album I had in my mind while I was designing this game. This was this was the song that I would put in to get me in the mood for what's going on. And it's not a particularly wolfy song, but it's a rather wintry song, I think.
Yeah. And it's melancholy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of Wolfspell.
Yeah. So right in this game, they turn into wolves. They swallow these carved wolf bone because they had these adventurers had. I'm going to tell you the tale. If you can go watch the Twitch channel, it's probably more entertaining than me retelling the tale, but I'm going to tell it quick. They were at this village and they were trying to hang out during a snowstorm, just kind of relax and whatnot, as you do. And the young, not a child, but like a teenager who was meant to become the jarl of the town of this village. Their parents showed up and were distraught because their child had been stolen by the Fae, and they the whole town, one by one, kind of tried to get these adventurers to solve the problem, because that's what you do when you have adventurers in your town. You're like,
finally someone.
Yeah. I often think of I think like one of the most important to this genre of fiction, not sword and sorcery, but like adventurers in a town, is the Seven Samurai, right? Like D&D is often Seven Samurai over and over again, or you have adventurers in your town. That's a little dangerous for you because they can do anything. But if you have a problem and you can point them at that problem, then you might be okay. You might make it out. You might not, but at least, there's a chance here.
Yeah.
So they pointed them at the problem, and eventually they decided to do it. They swallowed these wolf bones and stepped into a big bonfire that transported them to the Fairy Vale. And there they had many adventures with the Fae, including, well, I shouldn't say many. We only played for about 2 hours, and the game, as it turns out, can run in about 2 hours, but is usually more keyed to the length of a convention slot, so like about a 4-hour thing from character creation to end. But they encountered an old Fey wolf that hunted them, and they fought with that and threw it off, and then ran, and finally found the child. And when they returned, one was left behind.
Oops.
Spoilers.
Not every wolf comes back from the Fey realm.
Yeah. But that's the central conceit of the game. There is you turn into wolves, you go and solve your problem, and when you're done, can you turn back? Is that a thing you can do?
Yeah. How do you find your human self again?
Yeah. Which is, when you turn to wolves, that's what happens. It's been my experience.
So, looks like we've got a wonderful group in the chat. Yeah. They're howling along with us. I much appreciate that. I am so grateful for y'all for coming out, and I was wondering if folks could let us know in the chat, like, when did you hear about Wolfspell? Do you have any questions about Wolfspell? If you've been joining us, like I know Daniel has, or if you're Emily Carebass, you might already know quite a few things about Wolfspell. But this is a great time if you are new to this game, or if this game is new to you, to ask Epi questions about what you can expect from this experience of turning into wolves. Because I think I see a few folks that I haven't seen in the chat before, which is super great. But if you want to know a little bit about what
Yeah.
I'm doing while you're making up your questions there, coming up with things for Epi to talk about, I am an illustrator, and I've been working with Epi for years now. Did you know it's been years?
How long? Wow. Yes.
Like 5 or 6
man.
years?
We're old.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. That is actually significant. I mean, just think about like my nephews, and some of them don't even have that much time on this planet already.
Yeah.
You know?
When you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, oh, these are wonderful.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see also the like Epi, you're part of a wonderful community of people who sort of support and encourage and share each other's awesome
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate living here in where I do in Western Massachusetts, because there's I like landed here because there is such a good community here. Well, I landed here. We have to be completely honest. I landed here because Emily Care Boss lived here. That was I was living in New York and came out to Massachusetts for a tiny little convention called Jiffy Con, and that's where I met Emily. And long story short, we're now married and own a home together. That's but along with Emily, there are many other great game designers in the area here, including I am putting myself on thin ice here if I start listing names. Okay, Vincent and Maggie Baker, Joshua A.C. Newman, Hannah Schaefer, Evan Rowland. Oh man, see, this is what happens: is that I start listing names. Hopefully, the people I forget don't listen to this chat. That's what happens. It's. I'm just going to say it's. Yeah, it's a great community. We have like regular get-togethers over coffee and whatnot, and help each other out. Talk about design and publishing of games. Often make fun. I actually went looking for because Games from the Wildwood mentioned that Vincent had recommended the game in the past, and he had. And I went looking for a Vincent quote, and I found a quote from Vincent that I had obviously heard in real life and then tweeted. And this is from, again, from like quite a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And it said, dumb, but not as dumb as Wolfspell. But I'd like to point out that that particular tweet, I don't think had anything to do with the game or the game design itself, because a follow-up conversation explained, put it in context. But I think it has to do with what we're doing right the hell now. Because I think there was a real life conversation we were having where I was like, I'm going to print a game on a record album. And I think Vincent had another thing that he was doing with the game, and he was saying that it was his idea was a dumb idea, but not as dumb as the Wolfspell idea. Vincent likes this idea. We knew that there would be trouble, that there'd be work involved. And
we're going fancy. We're going big.
Yeah, exactly. Like really big.
This is definitely, per square inch, the largest piece of commissioned art I've ever done, and possibly per square inch, the largest amount of commissioned art I've ever done in a single gig. And that includes enormous amounts of art for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. So I think even if you tiled all of those together, this is bigger than the art I did for that, which is pretty outrageous.
Breaking records.
Yep. Yep. Speaking of records, though, I've made you all listen to Sonata Arctica. They really like wolves. They often their singer appears on stage in a Three Wolf Moon shirt. So
nice.
If at any point you thought this was nerdy, you didn't know how nerdy this was. But I hope some of you are finding something likable. I am seeing the room just like empty. I'll let you know when we move on from the power metal. There's an amazing array of stuff in this playlist, so I think you'll find a lot to enjoy. But there is another Sonata Arctica song after this one. Sorry. It's slower. There's less guitar, but only like a little bit less. So
I like guitar.
Who doesn't? So you've had this fantastic community around you. What were your first? Did you playtest Wolfspell with them before it came out in Worlds Without Master?
I think I played it with them almost. So the design to publish time period that I had there was quite short. I do think I played it with them maybe contemporaneous when it came out. I think it was maybe before. I'm trying to think, because it was about a little over 5 years ago now. But like, I mean, you're probably sick of hearing this story, but I'll tell this story in case there's people in the chat that don't know this story. The origin of Wolfspell started with a piece of short fiction that I wrote for the same issue of Worlds Without Master, and that short story is the one that Shel illustrated, which was like, okay, now I got to get Shel to illustrate the game when it comes out. I couldn't at that time. I'd already hired someone. But anyways, the point is, I wrote this short story. The short story is a wolf spell of sorts, and I thought to myself, this has to be a game. So I wrote the game, but by that time I had been on time before the issue had to be out. So that was another like a breakneck thing. So there were things that were play tested and whatnot, but I don't know if I did that with the Bakers or if they got to see it following it. I suspect it was following it. Oh, there's a question in the chat here. Will the album be in color? And yes, indeed it will. Yeah.
So they're just part of my process that I hide the color while I'm doing the detail, but you can see this is a super rough color scheme. But this is approximately what you can expect in terms of feel. But imagine if it was polished. I've been talking a big talk to Epi. It's a little nerve-wracking to show something this early to people live, but I trust you all to understand that like art takes time and goes from rough to tight.
Yeah.
So, don't worry. This is going to be 36 inches or 37.75 inches or so, if I remember the stats exactly, of very, very epic, very colorful, very cold and magical art. So I promise.
Yeah, yes. And I'd like to point out once again that not only will there be color, but there is a distinct possibility that there will be foil.
Yes, yeah, we're looking into having part of this cover be in foil, which will be pretty amazing. It's kind of blowing my mind. So this is gonna be glitzy stuff. So what you're seeing right now, these are what I call the rough pencils. So I'm getting an idea of what's light and what's dark and who's where, but I'm not getting details. This is not finished drawings at all. If you are curious about my stuff, you want to see where I take things, how far I take things, the level of polish you can expect, you'll want to head over to my portfolio, which is portablecity.net. And that's a great place to go and see what I can do in addition to drawing snowy drifts. Though, I mean, how do you top that, really? Really in your heart of hearts. So you can actually see very much, some of this I work on very zoomed out, and some of this I'm starting to zoom in a bit more now and get these little background details. Coming along.
This music is so appropriate. This is seeing these little folks running across the hills in my mind now.
There they go. So I'm adding a little frozen river because what's an adventure without somebody possibly falling in a frozen river? Also, I've been watching some nature documentaries on wolves, as you do, and
Yeah.
there's wonderful things when you see wolves in like Yellowstone. They reintroduced wolves, and they're hunting the bison and the moose and the everything, caribou, deer, everything. Now finally, it has predators again, and it's changing the landscape. It's physically changing the landscape of the park to have the wolves there. But they have this wonderful footage of them trying to catch a moose, and the moose is just like, "What if I stood in a river?" Suckers. This river is cold. And like a moose can stand in 5-6 foot deep water and it's fine. And wolves would be in a pretty bad position there themselves. So it's interesting to see the challenges that come up. And so I want to make sure you've got moments on this cover that you can turn to if you're playing this game and be like, what is the next problem we encounter? Oh, it's a river. It's a river and it's not good.
I know there's some fine role players out there who are thinking, yeah, but if and they're trying to figure out like a way that they can negotiate that river to get to that moose. And the way this game works is that you got to roll a blood die to do that. Because if you roll your wolf die, your wolf is going to be like, no, this is ridiculous.
So speaking of wolves, this is a song where a wolf has clearly been doing well with its blood dye, and articulately, politely asking everybody to leave it alone. This playlist gets silly. I hope you're all ready for that. Oh my goodness. Oh, hey, thanks so much, Normal Asylum.
Oh yeah.
What is your non-YouTube name? How would I know you? Because that's awesome and that's very kind of you to vouch for as well. So it's probably time to zoom out and show the next panel.
Yeah.
As we move along. So you've got your adventurers, and that's all well and good. The next concern you have, of course, is the wolves. So you can see in this panel how those are coming together. Unfortunately, most of what I have to draw for the next little while. Oh! Thanks again, Aaron. Nice. Thanks for introducing yourself as well. So most of what I have to draw here is trees, but there's also a few wolves in the distance. I'm going to zoom in and show our friends running around. But if you want to see some potential player characters.
Yeah.
And I'm just pulling up some ref. I work from photo reference as much as I can. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to paint a photograph, but I am trying to draw wolves the way they look. So that means finding out what wolves look like. And photos are amazing for that. So we're going to get some wolves running back in here, actually.
And if I'm not mistaken, is that a path of just below the screen here is the path of
oh yes,
paw prints?
Yeah. This was a trope I 100% used in the original art and was like, no, that's great. We're doing that again.
No, it's beautiful. I love it.
Because that's how it would feel to turn into a wolf. And we'll get some wolf prints. It's just so snowy here in Toronto this weekend. We've been out with my dog and I've been staring at his paw prints and being like, what makes these so unique and so recognizable? You know?
Yeah.
What is the thing that's working on these? So right now you can see in my rough sketch, it's like a sketch of just like a footprint that looks like that on its side, but I'm going to draw things that actually look like wolf prints in the snow. That's how art works. Ah, Bill, thanks.
I just like to chime in and say I too own some quality Shel Kahn art print hanging in our living room right now.
Heck.
it was very fortuitous. It the cover to Worlds Without Master issue 4, and it turns out that it just matches the wall paint in that room so well. It just goes so well with it.
Yay!
We had to buy the house. That was like,
it's maybe a little too much control over your life. You should find other life coaches to give you art. But very flattered. Yeah, thinking about like what colors this should be and thinking about what colors I like. I've been thinking more and more about how to make color schemes like magical and strange, but still really beautiful. Do you ever want things to be like too strange or nobody's going to know what's going on or it's not appealing? So I've fallen completely in love with the color teal and would like to warn anyone who's following my work to just expect an awful lot of it. Oh my goodness, wolves are the best. I'm looking at these photos of running wolves, and one of them's got their tongue out the side, and the other one is like in the middle of falling over. And so like this is, very epic and cool, but also, my God, they're just hilarious.
There was one of the hourly wolves that I think I retweeted today was these 3 wolves. If you look at it, it's 3 wolves coming at you, and it just looks, like, okay, that's badass. It's 3 wolves coming at me. But then if you look at the wolf on the right, such a doofus. Such. But it's great. Yeah, I love that about them.
So yeah, remember, whatever wolf you bring to the party, it can be a serious wolf, it can be a silly wolf, it can move between.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely ridiculous. All right, we have some tiny wolf silhouettes. So I'm still working at a really wide zoom angle because I don't want to make you all look at me draw whiskers on wolves quite now, but left shark and right wolf. Yes, exactly. So yeah, if you wanted to be the left shark of wolves, just roll poorly. Roll ties all the time.
Yeah.
Wolfspell will see you into the world of left shark levels of doofusry. But it's nice because I think one of the things that can be really constraining about sword and sorcery is there's maybe a pressure to have a specific kind of mood, but with Wolfspell, that mood is really flexible. And it'll come back for you towards the end when you have to decide if you're going to say a wolf or not. But if you want to just goof around in the snow for a while, that's well within the bounds of the game.
And I think wait, I just saw this in the thread here. Games from the Wildwood, Fierce and Foolish, the Great Duality of Wolf. And I mean, my game design, I like dualities. I tend to wallow in that a bit. But I think that like there is a little bit of when we look at wolves and we think, oh, that's a doofus wolf or whatever. I think it's when the wolf appears more human than wolf to us.
Yeah.
And that definitely, if you wanted to, and you're playing Wolfspell, you could just interpret your blood results as that. Like, just, all right, I'm going doofus wolf now.
Yeah.
I think it's people.
That's very good. As a dog owner, I fully agree with this. I read a wonderful thread by El Gato on Twitter earlier today, I think, and they were talking about how dogs have a kind of inherent tragedy to them, and I think wolves do too. Like whether or not it's because we associate them with dogs or they have a separate tragedy, but there's this sort of like melancholy that's built into our understanding of wolves and dogs, and kind of how impossible their lives are and how sincere they always are, and it's kind of beautiful and heartbreaking, but also hilarious when they think of people. And one of the things that I learned about dogs is dogs follow human eye tracking in a way that most other animals don't. And so I think that's one of the things that we think of as very, very humanoid. But like we've all seen like a wolf or a dog give you side eye, or look like they're rolling their eyes at you, because they are visual creatures that communicate with their facial expressions to some degree with each other as well. And it's just delightful. It's just hilarious and wonderful to see them be this. It feels precocious because it resembles human body language, but it's just their own thing. It's amazing. So yeah, you can have your sad. I can never decide if I'm a human or a wolf. Or you can have your hilarious. I can never decide if I'm a human or a wolf. Oh, Daniel's got another question for you, Epi.
Oh, what's that? The game seems geared toward one-shots. Does it lend itself to campaign play? Right. So, yeah, it's definitely geared towards one-shots. But Strash blew my mind this morning in the live stream by playing a character who had been through a wolf spell already, which is
Strash is
kind
the
of
best.
awesome. Yes. So I mean, I think that's fruitful ground. I think not only playing a character that's been through, or several characters that have been through wolf spells, but like playing the go-to adventurers when you have a wolf spell situation, right? Like,
yeah.
The Ghostbusters. Who are you gonna call? Hey, those wolf spell, that pack over there, they'll do it.
Yeah, we'll call Dave. He was a wolf once.
Right.
Somebody get Jen. She's done this before. I love it.
And they used to hang with that guy Henry, and they don't anymore. But they have a wolf that hangs around with them. So
we're not going to ask any questions, but we are going to hire them. They look like experts.
And I think it would be fun, like embracing that by doing the doing that thing where in the game when you make your characters, you basically the character creation is designed in such a way so that you can apply it to another game that you've been playing, right? You have these list of descriptors, and you apply, as a group, decide who amongst you they apply to. But you could do that if you had been playing, if you'd just been playing a D&D game, and then you were like, for added slightly more high stakes situation, let's play Wolfspell and see what happens to our D&D characters. You can sit down and apply those descriptors to them, and go ahead and play with Wolfspell, and that way it's the supplement to every game. Don't quote me on that. But it would be kind of fun to play a Wolfspell and then play the characters 10 years later and change who has what descriptors, like the character who, many have tested their sword arm and now await them in the afterlife, has now become, the one that's all into the supernatural because they're trying to avoid going to the afterlife, or, what have you. Yes, Wolfspell in space. I mean, honestly, there's nothing really preventing that from happening. I gotta think on that. But I would do it. I would play Wolfspell in space.
It sounds pretty easy to take this to a cosmic level, personally. I think that is a fantastic suggestion. And having just finished another read through of Lee Brackett's Skace,
yeah, I was just gonna bring up Lee Brackett again. Yeah,
her main character is constantly referred to as a wolf with no pack, as a lone wolf, and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, no, that metaphor holds up. That means we can have a sword and sorcery story where it's just literal.
Yeah, that's Eric John Stark is one. That's the main, right? I did that, the names in the right order. Yeah. Yep. Okay, good. Eric John Stark is one of many sword and sorcery characters who are Mowgli grown up. Like, that's the...
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
They're just Tarzan after he's hung out with humans for a bit. Over and over and over again. It's interesting because, like, Conan existed. We've already had, like, an alternate origin for your weird outsider society character type, and yet the, like, raised by wolves or nearest equivalent is such a powerful trope too.
Yeah.
Epi, do you have a raised by wolves option in this game?
Oh, we have a really close to one. Like if you're making characters, there's one that says it could definitely be interpreted as raised by wolves. Actually, I have the PDF right here, so why don't I just look at it and read it aloud?
Yeah.
I am at home when I sleep roofless and hunt my fare far from civilization. So that one, I mean, you can easily
Yeah.
say that's your raised, and that character starts with 2 feral, which just means that they start off being far more wolfy than anyone else.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is a legit option.
I like that.
I was just thinking, because I'm adding another character descriptor, and I was thinking I should add maybe 2 more. So one of the things we're looking at this panel here, right?
Yeah.
Which is the middle panel, which would, if you folded it up so it was the size of a regular LP jacket, this would be the one that's on the back.
Yeah.
And we have this space that we were thinking about using in the upper left corner of it,
Sort of here.
which is probably where you would see a track listing, right? If you were doing an album. And the thing that occurred to me that might go there would be these descriptors for the characters.
Ooh.
We could have the descriptors for the characters followed by the descriptors for the wolf spells, not the mechanics for them. That would be on the inside. You would just, but like a track listing. So they would just sound like prog songs.
Yeah, so just like raised by wolves, haunted by ghosts, etc., etc., etc. I like that because giving that, if this is going to be something people might use as a GM screen, then you have the list your players need to choose from in front of your players.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is smart always.
And also, like, it's a trifold, which normally would carry 2 record albums. So we could, or most records also have A sides and B sides, but I can, like label them, just give them like evocative names like Scars of the Journey That Came Before and Harbingers of the Journey Before Us, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Welcome
to this design session here.
The fun thing about this is like so much of this is done that we get to just fiddle with these last little details like for weeks.
Yeah.
You can do a Kickstarter vote. When you buy the Kickstarter, you are allowed to vote.
Yes. Oh God, no. Sorry. Sounds like a nightmare. Because I mean, every time I do any kind of poll, I always put an option up there I don't care for, and that's the one that wins. That is.
So
that's
as
like,
a freelance artist, you cannot provide people with an option you are not comfortable following through on.
Yeah.
It will always be the option that gets picked through some horrible karma.
It's like the flipping a coin and then realizing you wanted the other option, right? Like that's the, what are we gonna have for dinner tonight? You flip the coin, and you're like, damn it, I wanted the other thing.
Pizza. So I asked Twitter to recommend me some wolf songs, and I came back to this playlist to add them. And the playlist is already longer than the time we intended to stream. So I want to apologize to the people who are still tweeting at me about wolf songs. Y'all are amazing, and I will absolutely be making an epic YouTube playlist of these songs for myself that I will make public because you're really filling it out. I'm sorry we couldn't get them all in tonight. And for those of you who kept sending extreme metal, that is my jam. You've made the right choice, but maybe not everyone here wants to listen to very old Mastodon songs constantly. I did sneak in an Opeth song in a bit, though. Aren't you all lucky? But yeah, we're getting there. We got 15 minutes till the moon becomes devoured by the wolf, and the Kickstarter shall enter this world, enter this realm. So
yeah, it's just Scary.
Yeah. To distract
And
you,
what's going to
Epi.
happen?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You better explain.
I
You
was
better
just,
explain first. Yeah.
yeah. What's going to happen when that happens is I am going to launch the Kickstarter and then copy and paste the link to it 1,000 times in each of these open tabs that sends the message out via some sort, well, via Wolf, via Howl. So I may go silent when that happens. But yeah, we're getting prepared for it. What do we got here?
We got so when do the X spell hacks begin?
Oh yeah.
Definitely here for elephant spell. Let's get someone. Let's get an elephant expert on that one, because I really want to play that game. I'm wondering, like you mentioned, Aaron, coyote spell. Coyotes are solo creatures. They don't tend to have pack stuff as much as wolves, so I'm very curious how that would feel in comparison to the wolf spell. I wonder if there would be like a different sort of tone to the game. Why are you all still together? What is, anyways, I'm mulling it over. Crow spell, 100%. Duck spell, also very good. Very interested. You're all full of good ideas tonight. Thank you.
Many years ago, I was on Wikipedia reading about were hyenas,
Yeah.
like you do, and found out that there was a word. I just looked this up. The word is Boltungan.
Yeah.
Which was a name for. It was something that. It translates into I changed myself into a hyena. But the only reference to it at the time I could find was the Wikipedia, and it didn't have a reference, but now it says it did. But it's from 1920, and it's I don't know. Anyways, I like the idea of a were hyena because the things that hyenas can do are amazing, and they are even more alien to our human minds. Human spell, yes. That's good. There is a new variant of the wolf spell in here. This is the one that Shel played, where instead of you going out and becoming a wolf, it's a bunch of wolves that decide to take on your bodies, and then you're stuck in the wolves' bodies.
You must seek vengeance.
Yes.
Or just, have a good time. Try and survive, not knowing how to be a wolf.
Yeah.
That's true. Daniel, you are right. There are sometimes groups of coyotes.
About 5 or 6 years back, Emily and I lived up in the mountains, and I'm from rural Ohio and rural Wisconsin. Never had never heard a coyote before or anything like that. And one night we were at our house where this is a tiny little town with I think a population of 700 or something like that. Emily can correct me in the chat there. But the nearest neighbors are pretty far away. And we heard the coyotes outside. I had a visceral reaction to that. That was like a deep primordial fear in the back of my brain. I knew I was safe, but I didn't feel safe. I was I don't trust these walls. They're not going to keep that out. Whatever's making that noise.
We've all learned recently here in Toronto in Robin Law's playtest group that foxes make this worst noises ever because we kept encountering haunted ghost foxes in a horror game playtest. And in the Yellow King playtest, it was just a wonderful theme that developed because it was so effective. But I hadn't really thought about the fact that maybe coyotes or wolves also had a horrible array of strange, unearthly sounds that they could make. And then I went and saw this movie called Valley of Shadows, and there's a long sequence where a small child is lost in the Norwegian woods, and the sounds get so alien as the wolves in the forest are tracking and calling to each other and yipping and screaming and all of these wonderfully awful wolf noises. And I have a new respect now for the vocabulary. and the way it upsets you. Yeah, Daniel says that
Yeah.
the 2 extra coyotes adds to that. I'm interested in all of this stuff, but I don't want to talk all your ears off because we have about 10 minutes to launch.
Yeah.
So, Epi, is there anything you want to tell us about this Kickstarter before it goes live? What
Yeah.
people
All
can
right.
expect?
So, yeah, it's going to be 2 weeks long. It is going to be no stretch goals. It was important not only from the sake of reducing the amount of stress on a first-time Kickstarter, but also because I really wanted to make sure that we didn't overextend ourselves in weird ways and not end up getting paid for the work that we're doing. And what else should I say? I think we're looking at so the cost is $30 a game, and it's going to cost I think the shipping came out to $6 in the States, and I honestly don't remember, so I'm going to take a look at it. Well, you can look up the numbers when you go there. I
That will
shouldn't
be
be like
obvious.
listing all the numbers there. But and I should also say very clearly and emphatically, there are no records in this album cover. Like, I don't want people to get it and then they're like, well, where's all the awesome wolf music we were going to get?
So you're getting the wolf music right now.
Yeah.
And you will always be able to ask me for a wolf-themed playlist. I want all of you to know this in your hearts. However, we are not putting it on vinyl and sending it to you.
Yeah,
because there's
exactly.
It can definitely fit a vinyl, I think. Right, Epi? If someone has
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They
if
would
you
like
have
to
vinyl
store.
records, I'm getting it printed at a company that prints them for records. And they were super happy to hear from me. That was funny. That was when I told them how many I was expecting.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, there's a thing where the music industry is on a downslope and the games are on an upslope. And at some point we're going to cross.
Oh,
when that does, all the people who laughed at me when I was on stage, they'll pay.
Oh no. Oh no, the vengeance. The vengeance is coming. For me,
it can fit vinyl, but
to engage with the music industry peripherally.
Yeah.
But yes, it can fit that vinyl.
Yeah, it can fit vinyl. It can fit. It's 12-inch square, so you can put loose leaf paper. You can put old Wolfspell character sheets in there. You can do your notes for your game, whatever. It's got 2 sections, so you can do all your filing. I'm excited about filing possibilities.
I do think organizational aids are really helpful for any RPG.
Yeah.
And ones where you can throw the soundtrack in one folder and your notes in the other. That's a good one. That's a very good one, in my opinion. I love it. Lightfoot sounds like a wolf name. I don't know about Gordon, but definitely Lightfoot.
They're Gordon before they become Lightfoot, right? Like that
sounds about
Gordon's
right.
the adventurer that turns into Lightfoot.
I live early on near the Gordon Lightfoot Music Festival, so yes, 2 thumbs up.
Oh, nice.
I'm not. That's all the cred I have. There it is. You've seen it now.
When early on, when I was thinking about doing this as a record album, I thought about what could go in there instead of records. And one thing I was considering were spinners, because the Bullwinkle and Rocky role-playing game is one of my favorites, and being able to so instead of dice, you would have your wolf spinner and your blood spinner.
Oh my god!
Flick both those, but not only would that be a giant headache to produce, but also it would just ruin the album. Like the first time you, the whatever bits that stick out would ruin the album cover. So I decided against it. No, not even Wolfspell can hold a candle to the Bullwinkle and Rocky role-playing party game, which I'm sure you all have and you've all played. So I don't have to tell you that.
No. We've got about 5 minutes. Is it time to show off the last little bit of the album cover?
Yes.
So, you've seen both of these two panels, and now you can see the front cover. Which I'm really excited about.
So if you want, gorgeous.
I'm going to zoom in on that and give people a half a second to take a look. If you've been listening and not looking, now's the time to look. Got the whole thing. Here, I'll show off the color too. So this is about what it's going to feel like. We got some spooky folk in the playlist right now. It's a good timing. This song's called The Yawning Grave, which could be a thing that comes for you in Wolfspell. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. So if you like the idea of Wolf and Moon,
yes,
we're going there. We went there, we lived there. That is now our home. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. So I'm going to dig back in. Well, Epi.
Yes.
I think you got some buttons to press momentarily.
Yeah. So I might get started to see what's ahead here. Well, I'll wait. I'll wait these last 4 minutes.
All right.
Do it, Eddie. Oh, yes. First time Kickstarter. I'm excited.
Yeah, everybody here needs to wish Epi some luck, because not so much that I'm worried about the Kickstarter, but just like it's okay. We're gonna have a wonderful time. I know people are excited. I'm really excited. Wolf eyes, hard eyes, 100%. Fun fact, Daniel, I did look at some Moonspell songs for this playlist. They're good. I like them. They're very goth, though. I'm not sure if it was exactly the mood we were looking for tonight, but if it's your game and you want to go goth, go Moonspell. They've got your back. They've got a whole album about wolves. They're so ready. So you can see some of the trees are coming in back here a bit, so just play with those a bit. So you can see I do a lot of structural drawing at this stage. Oh, yeah, it is.
That's great.
Yes, Moonspell is a wonderful band. I'm sorry. I live in a wonderful bubble. It's real nice.
I mean, I didn't know it was a band either. I don't want to,
Yeah, no, it's me. Ooh. Yeah, I think what we'll do, Epi, is when you press the button, we'll just tell everybody to go look at the moon.
Yes. It is cold outside. I did a lot of shoveling today. All right. I'm going to go over to Kickstarter now and see what I can do about getting this up and running, I think. So if I go a little quiet or I start muttering,
we know what's going on.
Yeah. All
right,
here we go.
We talked a little bit on our last. Oh yeah, shoes would help. We talked a little bit on our last hangout about like epic music and progressive rock and heavy metal and the album covers and the feel and the musical content that this game is definitely in dialogue with. So what we're listening right now is The Sword. This is a song called Winter's Wolves. They're really pumped about wolves as well, which is great. But I wanted to talk just a half a second about some of my friends who got me into this sort of music in high school, where I was a total nerd before I got into heavy metal, and that only made it worse. So no cred in this story, but getting to meet folks who like the same kind of epic fantasy that I did and had, a whole new angle to engage with it, being able to go from the books to music to live shows with, get the t-shirt with the wolf and the moon and the beautiful epic font on it. It felt like something was coming to life in a way that I just never expected it to, right? I'd been reading, Dragonlance and The Once and Future King and all these wonderful fairy tale inspired epic fantasies as a teen, and then getting to go see the shows and people were singing about these characters I love. It was just outrageous. And so now I feel like this is kind of coming full circle where, like, not only did the music bring these stories to life, but now this is a game where we're using that format to help you bring these stories to life with your friends at your kitchen table. And that's really cool to me. That makes me really pumped. I got into gaming much later than anything else in my life. It was the last of my nerdy introductions, and the idea that, like, that feel of things coming to life is something we can give to other people through gaming as well as through music and in dialogue with music. It's just really cool. I would never have predicted this in my career trajectory, but it's really, really exciting and feels really right. So I hope you all enjoy bringing these wolf stories to life, falling under the spell of these wolves. It's so good. It's so good. How are you doing there, Epi?
I am clicking on a button, and then it's taking me to a page that gives me a button to click on, and then
Cool.
Please accept our rules. Okay. Where can I accept your rules? Oh, here we go. Okay. I mean, this is what they tell you not to do, what everyone does do, where they just scroll to the bottom and say, yes, I accept. Oh, there's nothing that says, there's nothing I have to click on to accept it. Okay. Hi, how's it going? This is fun.
We're doing good.
Oh, nice howling.
Yeah. A little bit of howling. Winter's wolves. All right. I've gotten these wolves in. Where else do I need some wolves? I think these are wolves. They're really far. They're just going across. Trying to think of those amazing BBC documentaries where you just see, like, a line of wolves moving across the landscape and you don't really know what it means.
I think I figured it out.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe. Oh, come on.
Here we go.
I see. It's just giving me trouble until the actual moment of the eclipse.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's what's happening. Yes. All right. There's the checkbox. Yes, we are live.
We are live. Oh my goodness. Hold on.
Yes.
I have to skip to the next song. It's really important. I did it. Thank you all. Epi, do you want to pop that link right in the YouTube chat?
Yes. Uh-oh. Now I'm having trouble finding our YouTube.
We're very excited. We're very, very, very excited.
Found it.
Oh my goodness, it's live.
There we go. And now
Yes.
I'm going to share this everywhere.
Holy cow. All right, folks. So you can check out the Kickstarter this very second for Wolfspell. As you can see, this is what it looks like in stage 1 of probably 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 37 inches of wolf art plus 37 inches of wolf game on an album cover. It's going to be heckin' epic. It's an honor to get to be a part of it, and I cannot wait for it to get into everybody's hands. But best way to make sure that you get it is to go and back that Kickstarter literally right now. Oh my God, somebody did. Hi, thank you so much. Oh my God, it's happening. Okay, I have to not look at it. Y'all are
I can't look
amazing.
At it yet. I have like so many places to tell people about this yet. All right, hold on.
Keep going.
But that's great. That's great.
Oh my goodness. Oh heck. So I hope y'all like wolves. I hope y'all like epic prog and metal inspired art. I hope you like stories of feral instincts and eldritch curses and coming together and like having each other's back and also being wolves. Because that's what we've got, and I'm so pumped about it. Holy cow. Yeah, I'm really excited to get this album cover done and get it in people's hands because there are so many little things I've tucked away in here already that when it hits polished, I hope that it's the sort of album cover you can hold and just stare at for 15, 20 minutes, finding things, finding story seeds and all sorts of stuff in it. Because that's what the album cover experience means to me.
Sorry, I peeked. I didn't mean to peek. Okay, all right, I got to keep going here.
Yeah. My goodness. I'm also furiously going around and like retweeting you everywhere. So, you know, it's a thing.
I am just now hitting all my blogs, publish immediately.
Yes.
This is what I get for having so many blogs.
Full of blogs. Hey, you guys like wolves a lot.
Yeah.
You folks are amazing. I don't even know how many people are actually here in the video with us right now, but I'm going to take a quick look at the view count so that I'm not making you all just listen to me. Awesome. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. And now to take us into the darkest part of the night, we have Metallica's Orion.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to dig in and draw a bit so I don't just stare at that Kickstarter number. But y'all are making dreams come true right now.
Yeah.
It's really, really awesome. Yeah, just draw a tree or two. How about some trees? A couple of trees.
Yeah, trees are good.
Happy little trees. As you do.
Where am I at?
Oh boy. So
how you doing?
I didn't have to get stressed beforehand. That was your job. Now I can have the feelings about wolves and this Kickstarter. It's an incredible privilege to get to do these sorts of incredibly specific projects that are so totally my jam. With you, Epi, and with everybody here who's been supporting Epi's work and my work, and just fun and new and interesting and different sword and sorcery and fantasy stuff. It's a literal honor.
Honestly, when you illustrated the first, One Winter's Due, the story that inspired this this whole nonsense, that was one of those moments where I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing that thing that I wanted to do when I was a kid. That's where I am now. So thank you so much for that. That's
oh my God, yeah.
I'm gonna peek just quickly here. Yes,
it's very good.
Yes.
Fun fact, I'm in Canada, so I'm looking at this in Canadian dollars, which means
nice.
All you backers look even better. Holy cow. Drawing trees, looking at this while I draw a tree. So we should probably wrap up so you don't all just have to hear us gasp for the next till I fall asleep. Though know that we are, every time somebody backs us, it is like getting a high five. It's really great.
Yes, thank you so much. Oh, thank you for joining us. I actually do feel a weight being lifted, which is nice. But yeah. Oh man. Okay. All right. I'm going to concentrate on this for a moment.
All right. I'm going to say goodbye to y'all, and I'm going to stop this. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your super wolf blood moon.
Yeah, go look at that moon.
Yeah, go stare at it. It's going to feel great. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.